Okay, I think we're there. Um, Hello, everyone. All right, so welcome. We are going to go through a few. Cool. So yeah, we have our live chat up and ready to go. Um, so feel free to ask any questions that you want. Um, just making sure this is all set up. Okay. So let's talk about the figured bass here. For this first example, we have a key with one flat, we have a D in the bass, and we have D, F, and A above that. So probably in D minor, so we'll go ahead and label that. Okay. And then we know from our figured bass that this one is going to be in root position. Right, so we have a nice root position 1 because there's no figures. And then in this next one, we know that it's going to be in first inversion. So this is a G minor chord. And in D, G minor is the fourth scale degree. So there's our 4 chord. Now remember, the full figured bass for this would be 6 and 3, meaning that above the bass we have a sixth, which is G, right? And we have a third, which is D. So we have G, B flat, and D. That makes our 4 chord. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out where we would like to put all of these. So let's see. The D can stay the same. And then we need a B flat and a G. So we can just pop everything up there. So we took our right hand F, A, D, and now we have G, B flat, D. Okay, and then the bass moves to an A with a natural sign. Now remember, the natural sign is there because we have a raised leading tone in minor keys to create that major 5, which gives a strong resolution to 1. So in this case, since there's no number next to the natural, that means it's the third of the chord that's raised. So we have an A. We have root position A chord with a C sharp, because it'd be C natural if it wasn't raised. Well, that's an interesting. I bet you that figure is not supposed to be a natural. It's supposed to be a sharp. I copied this from another assignment, and I think that was a misprint. So that should be a sharp. So we have A, C sharp, and E. So this is going to be our nice root position 5 chord. And we don't want to move everything in the right hand up, because then we would have parallel fifths. So if we just stepped everything up, G to A, B flat to C sharp, that would also create an augmented second, right, which is not good. And D to E, that would create parallel fifths between G and D, and then to A and E. So instead, what we can do is we can step the upper D down to C sharp. We can step the B flat back down to A, and then all we're missing is E, and we can put the E in the kind of bottom note of the right hand. Something like that. Okay, cool. So that should take care of our figured bass. And then let's check out the next one. So let's just go over the Roman numerals for this one. We won't write out the whole progression because I want to get to the next example. But the Roman numerals for this, notice we have no figures. That is not a mistake. That is how it's supposed to be. Okay. And that means that everything's in root position. So key, we have E major. Okay, remember, always have to label the key. And then we start with the nice root position 1. And we see we have an A in the bass, which is scale degree 4. So this is going to go to a root position 4 chord. And then we have scale degree 2, so this is a root position 2 chord. We have scale degree 5, so we have a root position 5. No other figures because there's no other figures given. And then we have our root position 1 at the end. Good. One thing I forgot to do in the previous example, I just saw it, so I'm going to address it right now, is to include the fact that this is a 4-6. It goes 1, 4, 6 to 5. Okay. The 6 that was in the figured bass is not part of our analysis. That's part of the score, part of the music. So we do have to specify that it's 4-6 here. Okay. So going back to our other example now, in E major, we have 1, 4, 2, 5, 1. Great little progression. We have a couple of predominant PD chords going to a dominant chord, going to tonic. And really, this is the way you'd want to see the 4 going to 2 going to 5, because the major 4 chord has a somewhat kind of more settled sound than the 2 chord. And so we don't want to feel settled going right into the 5, because the 5 is what ultimately takes us to 1. So since the 2 has a little bit more tension in it, we want to kind of increase the tension as we go along. Instead of flipping it around, we'd have kind of a tense moment with the 2 and then a relaxed moment with the 4 before then gain tension again with the 5. So it doesn't provide a very good kind of arc of what we're looking for in our progression. If you play this, you'll see what I mean. Last semester, I played it for my oral skills section, and they all kind of went, oh, because once you hear it, you kind of understand why flipping these 2 doesn't really work. Okay, and then, yeah, we would just have to finish writing out the rest of the keyboard voicing here, but we can do that with our next one. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so this one has a few more figures, which is why I wanted to get to it, so we can solve for these, all right? So key here, we have 1 flat, starts with an F, ends with an F, and we have F, A, and C in the right hand with an F in the bass. So pretty sure this is an F. Let's go ahead and write that. Starting with a nice 1 chord here. Okay. Now I like to go ahead and just solve for all these Roman numerals because the figures tell you what the Roman numerals are. Okay. So for this D is going to be a first inversion chord. Remember, 6 1/3 above the bass. The 3rd is the most common number, which is why it's not given, right? Like we saw before, where it's just the sharp instead of sharp 3, because the 3 is implied in like all of these things. So this would mean it's a B flat D F chord, with B flat being a 6th above this and F being a 3rd, right? So we can say that this is 4-6. Okay, 4-6. And then we have A here, and we're in a major key, so we don't need to raise the leading tone. We have the 7th, so this is going to be an A, huh? Here we go. I almost thought we were still in D or something. So this is going to be a 2-7. There we go. No, that doesn't make any sense. 3-7? Following the Roman numerals, it'd have to be a 3-7, which is rather odd. I'm going to look up the example real quick just to make sure that's correct. Excuse me. I still have a little bit of a cough. Okay, so put that one on hold because that doesn't seem quite right. But then the next one we'll have is G, which would be our 2. So we have 4-6-4. Excuse me, 5-6-4 going to 5-3. And then we have a 1 here. Okay, if you'd like to start trying to solve this, go ahead. I'm going to look up and make sure that that 3rd chord is what it says it is, because that does seem rather strange. If anyone wants to comment on this, by the way, go ahead and say something in the chat. I'll make our first post here. There we go. Yeah, that's how it's written in the assignment, which would be a 3-7. My goodness. And we haven't really talked about 3 chords yet. So let's think how we could make this a little bit better. Let's see, we have 1, 4, and then on A, we could have a 1-6, which would be a little strange. We usually want the 4 chord to go to 5. We could have a 3 chord. What a puzzle, huh? So let's do this. I'm going to get out my trusty eraser. And we're just going to skip over that one. It's not worth wasting any more time. Okay, so we will just skip over that note and make the 4-6 a half note. How about that? Okay. All right. Now, if you were doing this in your own homework assignment and you had 4 chords, you'd have to write all 4 chords out. I just think that the example is poor, so I am tweaking it to fit our needs. Okay. So now that we're back, let's solve for the other voices. So we need B flat, D, and F for the 4 chords, so we can keep the F the same in the thumb, and then have B flat and D step up. So we went from F, A, C to F, B flat, D. Okay, and then for our 2 chord, we need G, B flat, and D flat. It's nice and easy. We can just step the G up from the F. So now we went from F, B flat, D to G, B flat, D. And then we have our 5-6-4. So we need an F, A, and C. So again, we run into this problem where we could just chunk all these notes down, but if we did that, we would have parallel 5th chord should be a half note value. That was my mistake. Go ahead and fix that because we want it to be correct. We might have to change this one anyways because this next chord is going to be a little tricky. So let's see if we can find a different solution. Okay. So if we didn't step up like we did, so we're at F, A, and C in the right hand. We need B flat, D, and F. We could step some stuff down, but if everything moved down, then we would have similar motion. We could you know what I kind of like actually is if we share the notes here. So B flat, so the goes F, A, C, and then we have F and B flat. So the A and the C kind of come together on that B flat for that one chord. I kind of like that. And then in the next chord, we can keep the B flat the same, and then we have our shared note that then can go down to the G, and then we can have a D down there. So we went F, A, C, F, B flat with the D, which so that's the third of the chord of the 4/6 in the bass. And we have a G in the bass. We need a G minor chord, and we have D, G, and B flat in the right hand. Okay. Did it again though. Wrote a quarter note instead of a half note. Oh man. Long day. Okay. And now this might get us to this FAC chord a little bit easier. So let's see, we have G to D. If we step this D down to C, then that isn't parallel fifths. We also have G to G, and if that steps down to F, we don't have parallel octaves. So everything can go ahead and take a step down in the right hand. Important when I teach my lesson a week from tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. All right. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you just got double audio the whole time. Is this better? Anyone out there? Okay. Well, sorry. I think I just fixed it though. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at some homework. I have one homework to look at. I unfortunately blocked one of the answers, but I know what I want to say, so audio figured out. That's not what I needed. There we go. All right, got our audio figured out. Going to pull up our example. Okay. Now we're cooking. Okay. So for this first one, this is the only homework I was going to go over because this one had a nice range of examples. When we are building 7 diminished chords in a minor key, you have to raise scale degree 7. Okay? So in this case, in E flat minor, D flat is the natural part of the scale. There's a D flat in the E flat minor key signature. So we need to raise D flat to D natural. Yeah. So this is this chord is supposed to be a 7 fully diminished seventh, and the student put D flat, F, A flat, C flat. That is actually what's that? It's a major triad with a minor seventh on top. So this would be a major minor seventh chord, which is the dominant chord. Yeah. So that's what they wrote is the D flat dominant. If you wanted D flat diminished, we got to go crazy. It's D flat, F flat, A double flat, C double flat for D flat diminished. But this chord should have been built on D, because remember, D is the leading tone of E flat. So then in that case, that's just D, F, A flat, and C flat. Okay, so it was really close. It was just actually the one D flat that is the problem in there. Okay, and then for this B flat major chord, B flat major key, we had a 7 fully diminished for 2. So this should be A, C, E flat, and G flat. So there are a couple of wrong accidentals here. Here we had A, C flat, E flat, and G. And A to C flat is a diminished third, right? Remember, A to C is the minor third. So it should be A, C, E flat, and then the G flat is also missing. E flat to G flat is that minor third that we're looking for. And then D flat major, we had, let's see, this should be C is the leading tone, right? So it should be C, E flat, G flat, and B. Wait, hold on. C, E flat, G flat, and then B double flat. Because G flat to B flat is a major third, right? G to B is a major third. You lower both letters by a flat, the quality stays the same. So G to B is a major third. G flat to B flat is a major third. G sharp to B sharp is a major third. So we need a B double flat in order to make the minor third between G flat and B, the B note, which in this case would be B double flat, right? And then in this last one, I blocked the chord by accident, but it's supposed to be built on G sharp. It was the same error as before, where the leading tone was not raised, and so that's what needed to happen. Okay, and then in this SATB style, okay, love that I'm seeing some of the letters written out below the chords to keep track and make sure you have everything. In this first one, which is in G minor, F in the bass, we're in C major, and they put 4. Well, it's not 4, is it? It's a 2/6. So be careful with that. The bass gives you a good hint, but it doesn't always give you all the answers. Okay, and then it's 5/7/1. Okay, so that is all that I have for this week. Just gonna check. Okay, cool. Got some feedback. So, yeah, if you have any more questions, I'll take them now. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and call it for this week and see you tomorrow morning. We double checked that by just spelling out what 5/7 is in the key of C. Yeah.